What do you expect from Deshaun Watson this season?
Not as much as I've been getting from him in previous years. And it's just, listen, they have Kenny Stills. They acquired Randall Cobb. They still got Will Fuller as well. You picked up Brandon Cooks. We get all of that. And so it's not like he's devoid of weapons. I just have a hard time believing that you're better off without a future Hall of Fame wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, who also happens to be your boy, who went to the same school as you. Both of y'all went to Clemson. I find it very, very difficult to believe that you can lose a weapon like that, who obviously you had a great relationship and a great rapport with, and all of a sudden you're going to be better because of it when none of those guys come close to measuring up to DeAndre Hopkins. I just have a difficult time believing that. And so for me, that combined with Bill O'Brien, if you alienated DeAndre Hopkins, who the hell are you going to alienate next? I mean, you're going to get along with Brandon Cooks, you're going to get along with Stills or Fuller, you're going to get along with anybody else. Who are you going to get along with? Because it seems to me that's what's really, really dictating some of the decisions that Bill O'Brien has made. And I know, for example, to me, everybody thinks that this might be good. Tunsil is talking about the deal that he negotiated, and props to him because he deserves it. But he had to go up in there without representation to get the deal that he ultimately got, or at least that's what he said, because he did it without an agent. Maybe he had a lawyer with him or whatever. I don't know what the particulars are. But when I see those kind of things transpiring and I hear about those kind of things, consistently you hear about the dealings with Bill O'Brien having such a profound factor on how things turn out. I'm just not excited about the Houston Texans this upcoming season, particularly with Indy having improved and with the Tennessee Titans still in the same division. I'm just not sold on Deshaun Watson having a great season through little fault of his own.
I expect Deshaun Watson to be around the same thing he was last year, but that's because, in fact, he's ascending. Deshaun Watson's getting better and better. And so as he's entering his prime, he's asked to be doing more. He's asked to do more and more, and they took away his best weapon, which will kind of have him running in place. But I don't think he's going to get worse. He had the 7th best QBR in the NFL last year, for what that's worth. It's a pretty good shorthand, thumbnail sketch of a guy, and at least as far as one stat is concerned for a quarterback. And that puts him in the top 10, and he has superstar qualities, especially when it matters most. He's the kind of guy you want with the ball in his hand. Now, I've focused a lot on that trade, on the DeAndre Hopkins trade, in terms of how bad it was, not just to trade him, but like what you got back. David Johnson means you should be getting draft pick compensation, but when you figure it all out, basically, when you do all the kind of canceling of this draft pick for that draft pick and David Johnson plus what they wound up getting, he kind of traded DeAndre Hopkins for a 3rd or 4th round pick, something ridiculous like that. So I focused a lot on that. But right now, I'll focus on what everyone else is focused on. They took a pairing like that, Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins, and Bill O'Brien broke it up in their primes? As I said at the time, could you imagine Bill Walsh going into the quarterback's room and there's Joe Montana? He goes, Joe, I'll tell you what, I know you and Jerry Rice have a good thing going, but we had to break it up. Jerry's going to want a lot of money, so we shipped him out of town. That's demoralizing. So I get it, Stephen A. That's going to hurt Deshaun Watson, but I think that will be canceled out by his ascension. He should be really entering his prime now, and it's messed up. We see this happening with Aaron Rodgers throughout a lot of his career. Hey, you're great, carry the team, do all these things for us, and we're not going to give you what you really need to put you over the top. So obviously no Super Bowl for the Texans, but I think they'll be a team that wins more than they lose.
You know what? I believe both of you guys are wrong. I think Deshaun Watson's going to be better this year. Now, some of the points you made, Max, are going to lead to my point. I do believe that he's ascending. I also believe that he's a guy that deals with adversity extremely well. He seems to rise to the top when the odds are stacked against him. We can go back to those semifinal and final games against the Alabama Crimson Tide and what he was able to do in those college football playoffs. And so I think Deshaun Watson will step up. You also look at some of the pieces they have around him. And now you have to look at David Johnson and think about what guy are you going to get? Does a change of scenery bring him back into the double threat that he he was years ago in Arizona that made him get that big deal. Brandon Cooks, we know he's a guy that can take the top off of a defense. Will Fuller, if he's healthy, can do the same. Now you can have Kenny Stills and Randall Cobb work in those intermediate areas. Also, Kenny Stills has that speed, but the loss of DeAndre Hopkins says, okay, where do you double? But the loss of DeAndre Hopkins also says, which guy is Deshaun Watson going to utilize and throw the ball to, even having tight ends that can be part of the pass game. And so I think this team can be really good. I think it can look really college football-like with some of the pieces that they have. And Deshaun Watson knows how to thrive in chaos. And what's more chaotic than being on a team that's not only coached by Bill O'Brien, but he's also the general manager. Yep. What's up, Stephen A?
Two quick questions for you. I just need quick answers to these questions, and then I'll pass it right to you. Have the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans gotten better?
Absolutely. They both have.
They both have.
They both have.
Does a coach have the ability? Does a coach have the ability to affect a quarterback's play?
Yes, absolutely.
Floor's yours. Floor's yours. Take it from there, Ryan.
Yeah. So
go
okay,
ahead,
here we go.
Say what you're saying.
Hey, listen. Those
are the quick questions. Go ahead.
I'm about to finish. Those things can exist, and Deshaun Watson can still excel. We're not asking how good are the Houston Texans going to be. The question wasn't, are the Houston Texans going to finish atop the AFC South? The question was, how does Deshaun Watson play? And I believe he's going to play well. I believe he's going to take another step into showing us why Dabo Swinney called him Michael Jordan. And he'll never be that in the league because there's a Patrick Mahomes. But he can carry this offense. He can make plays.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.